So I don't drink cow's milk and I don't drink dairy milk. So I use a lot of nut-based milks, and a lot of the time I make them myself. So if you take something like cashew nuts or almonds or peanuts, you can just blend them. There'll be some bits, you can filter them out with a bag if you want, but it's pretty good, and I don't mind the little bits that are in there. They tend to soak to the bottom of drinks and so on. Now, one of the things I wanted to make was hemp milk. But the problem with hemp milk, or the problem with making hemp milk, is that hemp seeds are very expensive if they're de-shelled, but they're reasonably cheap if you buy them with their shells on. A friend of mine, Chris, told me that you could actually still make hemp milk, still make milk from hemp seeds by using a blender. And the trick is, you need a blender that has one of these in. So I got this from, I think it was B&M Bargains or something like that, which is this UK store, but they're about 20 quid. And the secret here is, of course, this has a very fine mesh which will not allow the seed husk to go through, but the hemp part will be pulverised and the kind of protein part will come through and still make a milk. I didn't really believe this would work, so I tried it and it does work. So I'm going to show you so that you know it works yourself. Alright, let's get started. So I normally use about 100 grams of cashew nuts to a litre of water. So a litre of milk is about 100 grams of cashew nuts. So there's approximately 100 grams of shelled hemp there, and I think that's going to be enough for the milk. I'm going to have to experiment around for a bit, but let's give that a go. So we need something to put the milk in once it's been made. This glass jar, or this glass bottle, had apple juice in, and I bought it from a local farm shop. Now, these are really common in the UK. Pretty much every farm shop in the UK sells apple juice in bottles like this. If you buy these bottles from Lakeland, which is kind of a store that sells that kind of thing in the UK, they cost about £4 each. It's ludicrous. Whereas this was £2, I think, or maybe £1.75 with apple juice in. So clearly I'm going to buy it with apple juice in. And I tend to buy apple juice every now and again. I've got quite a few of these knocking around. So that's where the milk's going to go. We've got the 100 grams of hemp and got the all-important insert. And what we're going to do is just pour the hemp into the middle of the insert. Don't worry if some of it goes on the outside. We'll just put it through a sieve afterwards and capture any hemp seeds that went on the outside. Now, when we blend this, we're going to pour water into the middle. That's going to force the hemp to be macerated, and the protein part, the heart of the hemp, is going to be pushed out through the mesh. Now, what I normally do is I pour in some water, and then with this still blending, actually pour the milk off. Then add a bit more water, and I just keep doing that. It's probably not the best way to treat the machine, but it works quite well. And it's quite difficult otherwise to get a lot of water into this machine and a lot of throughput. So let's try that out. So I've got some water here, and let's fill it up a bit. I find that if you fill these about more than halfway, they tend to froth up a lot and start overfilling. Right, so that's it all done, and you can see that it looks pretty good. Let's take a look what's inside the grinder now, in the middle bit. So what I'm going to do is just take this middle bit out and put it on the paper. Put it on the plate, sorry. As you can see, almost all of the hemp seed remained in the centre of the blender. So we've got almost all of that out. Now, one of the important questions here is how well does this homemade milk make tea and coffee? So let's give that a go. If I take some English blended tea in one, and we'll put a bit of boiling water in there, and let's hope that these cups don't shatter, which they could easily do. There we go, that's alright. And you'll hear in the background my coffee is just boiled. So let's pour some coffee into the second one. And while we're waiting the legal British requirement of 3 minutes for the tea to brew, let's pour some of this into the coffee. Now, depending on how white you like your coffee, have a look at that. I mean, that's pretty good, right? Let's cheat and not wait the full 3 minutes. We'll do the old classic of just doing this. And try the hemp in the tea. There you go. Now you can see what's happening there with the coffee is it's slightly starting to separate out. So that's pretty awful, and the same is happening with the tea. It's curdled. So that's not an ideal milk. I tend to drink it like this anyway. I don't mind, it doesn't change the texture or anything like that, but that is not a good milk in terms of producing a kind of clean, consistent tea or coffee. So if anyone has any ideas about how to get this kind of smooth and so on, then please let me know and we'll try it out. There's got to be something we can add. I mean, if you look at any of the commercial milks you can buy, they will add in kind of stabilisers and all kinds of things like that. It's probably some natural thing that we can add. But the hemp milk itself tastes quite earthy, and it's good on cereals and things like that. It makes great pancakes. So you can see that a separation has got quite bad. I'm going to do a video in the future where we take lots of different types of non-dairy milk and have a look how well they do in this test. So we're kind of reduced to the ridiculous state of stirring it to get it looking something like tea, and then drinking it. And that tastes a lot like hemp. So hemp probably isn't a very good milk for tea. Cashew is a hell of a lot better. What about coffee? With coffee I think it's good. Coffee it's fine. The strength of the coffee overpowers the hemp by a large margin. So it still tastes very, very good actually, and it makes a reasonable coffee. Now the reason I'm so interested in hemp is because hemp is such an amazing crop. Cannabis is such an amazing crop. So it was used for a very long time for making canvas, making rope. The word canvas actually comes from cannabis, like the origin of the word. And the beautiful thing about hemp is hemp can grow in the UK, and it can grow without pesticides and without fertilisers. It's considered an environmentally friendly crop. Now, if we're going to be drinking milk, non-dairy milk, in the future, then we need sources that are local, ideally. So hemp is a good source for a non-dairy milk that can be produced locally, whereas obviously cashews and soy are not produced in the UK. Cashews certainly aren't. I'm not sure about soy, but I don't think so. So there you go. That is how you can make hemp milk from hemp seeds that still have their hulls on them. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you produce some, or if you've got any tips around how else to make milk from hemp, or what else you can do. And I hope that was useful, and thanks for watching. I mean, let's be completely honest here. This is crap. This is awful, absolutely awful as far as making it for coffee goes. Cashew nut milk does not do that. Yeah, so any tips?